Topic 2 Introduction, Inspection Practices. Course Breakdown. This course will be broken into 4 videos. Topics in the course include Inspection Regulations and DVIR, Video 1, Inspection Practices, Video 2, Inspecting the Truck, Video 3, Inspecting the Trailer, Video 4. This lesson describes important inspection practices for the most common violations: air brakes, lights, tires, and wheels. How to check each of these items will be covered in detail, as well as best practices for conducting an inspection and the importance of keeping your cab clean and organized. After completing this topic, you will be able to list best practices to follow when conducting an inspection, explain how to inspect your tires, wheels, and rims, list the items to look for when inspecting your lights, reflectors, and emergency equipment, describe how to inspect your air brakes on the truck, describe the process for completing each in-cab brake test. Subtopics in this section include best practices, keeping your cab clean and organized, what to look for during a roadside inspection, BLT, brakes, lights, and tires, wheels and rims, lights and reflectors, emergency equipment, checking the brakes, how to measure pushrod stroke in-cab brake tests. Topic 2 Review, Inspection Practices, Best Practices. Mac's safety manager has told him that the key to a good inspection is to develop a step-by-step process he can repeat every time. When you and Mac have a repeatable process, your inspections will take less time and you will be less likely to leave anything out. Remember to do the following. Start at the same place each time and use an inspection checklist or diagram to help you. When you begin the inspection, do the following. Evaluate your fitness to drive. Have your inspection tools ready. Find a safe place to conduct the inspection. Use your hands. Make sure that you chalk your wheels and have everything you need. Remember to check the previous day's DVR so that you can confirm any repairs that may have been made. Important, wear a safety vest so that others can see you. Evaluating your own fitness to drive. Are you ready to operate the vehicle? Take note of any particular distractions you may be having and how you are generally feeling. If your emotions are running high, you may want to take a break before you get in the cab. When you are pulled over for an inspection, your vehicle is not the only thing that inspectors are looking at. You may also be in violation, which will impact CSA scores if you have drugs or alcohol in your system, are ill, fatigued, or out of service, don't have a valid CDL or your CDL has been revoked or suspended, don't have a valid medical certificate, don't have a current, complete daily log. Using the right tools. When you complete an inspection, the tools you should have available include service brake application tool to hold the brake pedal down, tarp strap for applying the trailer service brake, tire pressure gauge, tire depth gauge, flashlight and/or headlight, protective headgear, bump cap, gloves, safety glasses, cloth for cleaning, inspection checklist, contact number, and name for questions. Staying safe during an inspection. Keep yourself free from injury by following these safety practices during an inspection. Select a safe and clear location to do the inspection. You should be on level ground. Do not get under, in front of, or behind the vehicle if there is any chance of it moving. Use wheel chocks, especially on inclines. Keep the ignition key with you at all times. When entering or exiting the vehicle, remember to use 3 points of contact. Never jump out of a vehicle or off of a trailer. Be aware of other vehicles in the area and any suspicious activity. Use your hands. Just looking at your vehicle will not result in a very thorough inspection. Use your hands to feel the surface of each component as you go. Feeling surfaces allows you to identify bumps, cracks, and abrasions more easily than simply looking at them, especially since many components are either a dark color or partially obstructed. Wearing leather gloves will protect your hands. Keeping your cab clean and organized. Some inspection officials are more likely to pull you in for a full inspection when your vehicle is dirty or when they can see piles of dash trash through your windshield. A dirty cab can be an indicator of neglect in other places. Having clutter in your cab can also be dangerous, as garbage can get stuck under pedals and other mechanical devices. Loose objects also have the potential to become dangerous projectiles in the event of an accident. Keeping your cab clean and organized also makes it easier to see defects, to locate paperwork, and helps prevent buildup of mold, bacteria, or pollen which can be detrimental to your health. Some tips for better organization include: limit the stuff you have in your area. Get rid of anything you don't need. Find a place for everything. Purchase a truck organizer to help you, or utilize the areas you have in your cab. Keep receptacles for waste in your cab and empty them regularly. Keep wet or disinfectant wipes handy. They are a quick, convenient way to wipe down surfaces in your vehicle. What to look for. You and Mac must be able to detect whether a system is in danger of failure or malfunction and the gravity of any defect. The following are examples of the vehicle parts and systems that need to be inspected. Fluids, hoses, and belts. There should be no fluid leaks, damage to hoses or belts, and all parts should be secure. Check belts for tightness, cracks, frays, and other signs of excessive wear. Check hoses for leaks, abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and that they are properly mounted and secure at both ends. Cooling systems. Check the radiator to make sure that it is free of dents or damage. All parts should be properly secured. Battery. Make sure the battery is secured and the terminals are not corroded. Check for any loose or worn wires. Air brakes. Check brake fluids, air pressure, brake lines, air reservoir, parking and service brakes for normal function. Check the pushrod stroke for each brake. Lights and reflectors. Check lights, reflectors, and reflective tape for defects or general damage. Make sure all lamps and indicators are functioning correctly. Tires. Check steer and drive tires for proper inflation using a pressure gauge. Check for proper inflation using a tread depth gauge. There should be no worn treads, air leaks, cracks, or deep cuts, damaged, cracked, or missing valve stems. Wheels and rims. Your wheels and rims should have no cracks or damage, and there should be no signs of oil leakage. Check for missing valve stems and missing or damaged fasteners. Steering. Check that the steering linkage and gearbox are secure and free of damage. There should be no missing or damaged parts, fluid leaks, or excessive steering wheel lash. Suspension. Check the suspension system for any general damage, missing or broken leaves, leaking or damaged shock absorbers, damaged spring hangers, and loose bolts and rivets. When you have air ride suspension, check the airbags, mounts, and hanger assemblies. Exhaust. Check the exhaust system for loose, broken, or missing parts and black soot, which indicates an exhaust leak. No parts of the exhaust system should be rubbing against parts of the fuel system. Coupling. Check the fifth wheel for missing pins or defects in the slide mechanism, bends, warping, or cracks, missing U-bolts, cracked or broken weld, and space between the upper and lower fifth wheel. Cargo. All securement systems must be in good working condition. For a cargo van, cargo items should be arranged in a tight fit arrangement, using load bars or void filler if necessary. For some of these items, only a visual inspection is required. In some cases, the inspection also requires measurement and testing. This topic will take you through how to test and identify problems with items that have high rates of violation, as well as those that need additional testing. During a roadside inspection, approximately 4 million commercial motor vehicle inspections are conducted every year in Canada and the United States using CVSA's inspection procedure known as the North American Standard Inspection Program. When you and Mac pass a roadside inspection, you receive a CVSA decal, which means that during a Level 1 or Level Fee inspection, no defects were found in any critical vehicle inspection items. The enforcement officer will place a decal on your windshield that indicates the year and quarter in which you passed the inspection. Level 1 is a standard vehicle inspection and includes your documentation, CDL, logbook, etc., as well as a complete vehicle inspection. Level V is a vehicle-only inspection and includes only the vehicle components of a Level 1 inspection. The driver does not have to be present. During a roadside inspection, remember that you are a professional. Have all pertinent documents ready to provide to the inspector. Be dressed appropriately, and your cab should be clean. Be courteous and avoid rude, disrespectful behavior. Make sure that you answer all questions as honestly as you can. These may include questions about your destination, how long you've been on the road, and where you started from. If you have a concern, do not debate or disagree with the enforcement officer. Document the experience, including the time and location, and discuss it with your supervisor. Brakes, lights, and tires. Why are brakes, lights, and tires so important? They are very hard-working components of your vehicle, and need regular attention and maintenance. They are also easy problems to spot during a roadside inspection. All three of these components made into the top 5 violations in 2016, as shown in the chart. CSA and BLT. Not only are brakes, lights, and tires the most common violations, but they also have a big hit on SH Logistics CSA scores. Point value CSA violation 10, driving an out-of-service vehicle, 8 tire defects, 7 improper cargo securement, 7 suspension defects, 6 improper or inoperative lights, 6 steering defects, 4 brake defects. Checking the tires. Tires are one of the most common vehicle-related factors for large trucks in fatal crashes, according to the FMCSA. This isn't a surprise, since the tires on your vehicle take a lot of abuse and they aren't designed to last forever. Checking and maintaining them properly is key to keeping you, Mac, and other drivers around you safe. ICD stands for the 3 main things you and Mac can check for when inspecting each tire on your tractor and trailer. Inflation. Make sure you know the correct pressure for your tires. According to the ATA Technology and Maintenance Council, the life of a tire that is consistently 20% underinflated is reduced by 30%. 40% underinflation reduces tire life by 50%. Tires normally leak air through valve caps or small punctures, and pressure should be checked with a gauge at least once per week. Tires will also lose pressure as the temperature decreases, so check more frequently when in the colder months. When inspectors see signs of underinflation, such as wear patterns on the sides of your tires, they will measure tire pressure. Overinflation is also a problem and is usually indicated by wear patterns in the center of your tires. Both underinflation and overinflation reduce tread life and compromise traction, stability, and safety. Condition: there should be no cuts, rips, or tears. Dual tires should never be touching each other or any other component. Anytime that a leak can be felt or heard from your tires, you should take action. Listen for leaks and look for bulges, which could indicate a blowout. Also look for the following: separation of tread or sidewall, deep cuts or cracks that reveal the ply or belt beneath, missing, damaged, or cracked valve stems or caps. Tires should be the same size and type. Don't use radial and bias ply tires on the same axle. Depth. The major grooves on each steer tire should be 4/32 of an inch and 2/32 of an inch on any other tire. Take note of the depth of the other grooves as well. In addition to checking for the minimum tread depth, look for worn treads and body ply or belts showing through the tread. Even though the regulations specify 4/32 of an inch for the major groove on a steer tire and 2/32 of an inch for all others, during an inspection, CVSA will put you out of service when there are 2 adjacent grooves with a tread depth of 4/32 of an inch on your steer tires. There are 2 adjacent grooves with a tread depth of 2/32 of an inch on any other tire. Use a tread depth gauge or use the coin method. Coin method of measuring tread depth. Place a quarter or a penny between the treads on your tire. Turn the coin upside down so that top of the coin points down into the tread. Your tread depth can be estimated by how far the coin reaches into the tread of the tire. Also take note of distortion, uneven edges or dips in the tread, which may indicate wheel alignment problems or bent suspension parts. Wheels and rims. Wheel failure is an especially dangerous situation. It can occur suddenly due to failed bearings and ineffective fasteners, rims, or hubs. When wheels fly off a vehicle, motorists around your vehicle can be severely injured or killed. When you inspect your wheels, check the following. Lug nuts. Check the tightness of each lug nut on each wheel every time you conduct an inspection. Use both hands to test 2 lug nuts at a time and work your way around the wheel. Cracks, rust, or damage. Look for cracks or damage, especially starting at the lug nut holes. When you see rust around these areas, it is a sign that the wheels or rims are loose or damaged. Missing parts. Look for loose, missing, broken, cracked, or stripped fasteners, spacers, studs, lugs, clamps, and missing or damaged lock rings. The vehicle will be placed out of service when, with 10 fastener positions on the wheel, there are 2 adjacent missing or ineffective fasteners, or 3 anywhere. For 8 fastener positions, the vehicle is out of service when 2 are missing or ineffective anywhere. Signs of leaking. Leaking lubricant from a wheel seal or leaking hub oil can contaminate the brakes and cause bearing failure. When you have a hub with a sight glass, check the oil level. Signs of welding. Welded repairs on aluminum wheels are not permitted. Lights and reflectors. Lights are another commonly cited violation, mainly because inspectors can easily see whether a light is functioning. Different jurisdictions in North America have slightly different rules for when lights must be used, but in general there are two rules to follow. Turn on your lights when you are using your windshield wipers and in adverse conditions. Keep your lights on half hour before sunset to half hour after sunrise. Missing, damaged, inoperative, or defective lamps can cost you 6 points under CSA, so make sure that you check all of the following every time you conduct an inspection. Low beam headlamps, high beam headlamps, turning lights, four-way flashers, hazard lights, brake lamps, reflective material. During your inspection, turn on all the lamps to ensure they are functioning normally. Make sure that nothing is blocking any of the lamps on your vehicle. As you complete your walk around, clean all the glass, lights, and reflectors as you go. It's a good idea to have some spares if a light has burned out. Emergency equipment. You are required to carry emergency equipment with you on your vehicle. When you are transporting placarded hazardous materials, you must also carry emergency response information, such as the Emergency Response Guidebook. You must carry a properly filled and mounted fire extinguisher on your vehicle. The nozzle should be clear and the tip of the ring pin in place. The needle on the pressure gauge should be in the green area. Check the expiration date of the extinguisher. For vehicles carrying placarded hazardous materials, the extinguisher must be rated 10 BC at a minimum. For all other vehicles, the extinguisher must be a single 5 BC extinguisher or two 4 BC extinguishers. Note, at the very least, fire extinguishers must be inspected monthly and the inspection recorded on the extinguisher's tag or in a file. Extinguishers should be maintained on an annual basis by a certified person. Hydrostatic testing and internal inspections are also required on a less regular basis. You must also have either 3 emergency reflective triangles or 6 fuses 3 liquid burning flares. It is also helpful to carry spare electrical fuses when the vehicle does not have circuit breakers, an accident notification kit, and emergency numbers. Checking the brakes. When conducting an inspection, an inspector will put your vehicle out of service when the number of defective brakes is equal to or greater than 20% of the service brakes on the vehicle or combination. A regular commercial vehicle pulling a trailer will have about 10 brakes. If 2 are found to be defective, you will be placed out of service, so check all your brakes every time you head out. Inspect your brakes for damage during your walk-around inspection and for proper function during your in-cab brake tests. When inspecting trailer brakes, get underneath the trailer and use a flashlight. Always listen for audible air leaks. As you walk around your vehicle during the inspection, visually check each brake for the following. Condition. Look for damaged, missing, rusted or worn brake drums, hoses, and shoes. Brake shoes should be evenly adjusted. Thickness of the brake lining. The brake lining shouldn't be less than 1/4 inch. Brake adjustment. Measure each brake's pushrod stroke or slack to make sure that it is within the pushrod stroke limit. The importance of pushrod stroke. Measuring pushrod stroke, also known as travel or slack, is important to know as a driver, as poorly adjusted brakes is the second most common violation, as well as the most common cause of brake failure. First, you must know the size of your vehicle's brake chambers and whether they are standard, short, or long stroke chambers. Each size and type has a different stroke limit, as you can see in the chart. A Type 30 long stroke chamber will have a 2.5-inch stroke limit, while a Type 24 standard chamber will only have 1/3, more than 1/2 inch difference. Note, check with your manager to find out the size of your vehicle's brake chambers. There are different methods of checking each brake's pushrod stroke. Electronic brake stroke indicators. Displays mounted on the instrument panel show when stroke is under, at, or over the limit. Brake adjustment must still be inspected even when you are using these. Mechanical brake stroke indicators. When the brake is applied at 90 to 100 psi, A visual indicator mounted onto the brake linkage will tell you when the brake is out of adjustment. Measuring tape. When you do not have other visual indicators, you can use measuring tape to determine your pushrod stroke. See the chart to determine the pushrod stroke. How to measure pushrod stroke. To properly determine your pushrod stroke, you must look at the difference between how far the pushrod travels when the brakes are released and when they are applied. This means that you will have to look at each brake twice. Remember to always check the stroke at the correct pressure of 90 to 100 psi, 621 to 690 kilopascal, kPa, and follow these steps. 1. Measure the stroke or slack when the brakes are released. Do this as you complete your first inspection of the rest of your vehicle. If you are using visual indicators, the red post will be to one side. If you do not have visual indicators, place a mark on the pushrod at the base of the chamber. 2. Use your brake tool to apply the service brakes. 3. Apply the brakes as the last step of your inspection and check each brake again. Mechanical indicators should be positioned between the two posts. If you do not have indicators, measure the distance between the mark you made in step 1 and the base of the chamber. In-cab brake test. Once you have visually inspected each brake for any damage or missing parts, listened for audible air leaks, and measured the pushrod stroke of each brake, your last inspection task is to perform the in-cab brake tests. To test your brakes, make sure that you have removed the chocks from the vehicle. Then check the following: tractor and trailer service brakes. Put the truck in gear and drive slowly ahead. Keep your hands lightly on the steering wheel. To test the tractor service, brake, press down on the foot pedal brake. The vehicle should come to a stop. If it jerks to one side or the other, it may mean that a brake is out of alignment and should be checked. To test the trailer service brake, pull the handle on steering column on your instrument panel. The trailer should stop the vehicle. Low air warning system 1. Make sure the ignition is in the on or accessory position. Begin with your air pressure at 90 psi or above. 2. Pump the foot brake to fan off the air pressure down to 55 psi. With the air pressure above 60 psi, the warning lamp must be off. When the pressure falls below 55 psi, the warning lamp and alarm must be on. Air pressure buildup rate. Now that you have depleted the air during the low air warning system test, you can test how long it takes for it to build up again. This test does not need to be done with each inspection, but it should be done if you are driving an unfamiliar vehicle or you suspect something is wrong. 1. Make sure the trailer supply valve is closed, pulled out. 2. Maintain engine speed of 600 to 900 RPM and see how long it takes for the pressure to rise from 85 to 100 psi. The time this should take will vary by the air tank's reservoir capacity, but should be no longer than 45 seconds. Air compressor governor settings. The governor controls when the air compressor will pump air into the air storage tanks. To test that it is working properly, follow these steps. 1. Run the engine until air brake system pressure reaches its maximum level and note the cutout pressure setting. It should be between 100 and 130 psi or 690 and 932 kilopascal, kPa. 2. Press and release the brake pedal several times to lower the system pressure and note the cut-in pressure setting, 80 psi per 552 kilopascal or higher. Air loss rate 1. Park your vehicle and release the spring brakes. 2. Check that the air brake system is within its normal operating pressure range and turn off your engine. 3. Press and hold the brake pedal all the way down so that it's fully applied. 4. Note the pressure indicated on the primary and secondary air tank gauges. 5. Note if there is any change in pressure after 1 minute. You are allowed to have a maximum air loss rate of 4 psi. Tractor parking brake. 1. Pull out the parking brake, yellow button, to apply the parking brake. 2. Make sure the trailer supply valve, red button, is pushed in to release the trailer spring brakes. 3. Drive forward slowly, and the parking brake should tug at the vehicle. Trailer spring brakes, trailer supply valve, spring brakes. 1. Pull out the trailer air supply valve, red button, to apply the trailer spring brakes. 2. Make sure the yellow button is pushed in to release the parking brake. 3. Drive slowly forward and the spring brakes should tug at the vehicle. Anti-lock braking system, ABS. 1. Put your key into the ignition and turn the key into the on accessory position. 2. Make sure your ABS malfunction indicator lights function as intended. The lights should appear after 3 seconds and disappear after 3 seconds. If your lights fail to come on or turn off, there is a malfunction. Topic 2 Review. Inspection practices. Mac knows that there are certain best practices to follow during an inspection, such as making sure he has all his tools and finding a safe and level place to complete the inspection. He knows he should use his hands to feel for defects, such as abrasions, cuts, and bulges throughout the inspection as well. Mac also understands that the most common infractions that result from roadside inspections are those around brakes, lights, and tires, and so he has reviewed how he should be inspecting these components on his vehicle. When he looks at his tires, he remembers the acronym ICD, inflation, condition, and depth. He knows his tires will lose 2 to 3 psi per week, and he must check them on a regular basis. He also knows that it is very important to look carefully at the fasteners on his wheels and to check for leaking or signs of rust. Mac had not previously known how to check his air brakes properly. His safety manager has shown him how to measure his pushrod stroke, and he checks that as well as his general brake condition, looking for any loose or missing parts, as well as the thickness of his brake lining. Lastly, Mac has reviewed the in-cab brake tests that he should be doing before he starts to drive. First, he tests the service brakes on both his tractor and trailer, as well as the tractor parking brake and the trailer spring brake. He checks his governor, his low air pressure warning system, and his air pressure buildup rate to make sure he and the drivers around him will be safe on the road.